Hey guys, Nuzley here, and today we're back to another YouTube video. Today we have Ken Masters from Street Fighter versus Caesar Zeppeli from Jojo's Bizarre Adventure. We're going to be using Violent Ken for this video, because if we didn't, that'd be too much of a stomp. So yeah, if you enjoyed this video, dislike and subscribe, and yeah, just get into this video. As for Evil Ken, he was capable, or rather, Violent Ken, he was capable of beating Bison. I presume I'm pronouncing that correctly. Who Jury was scared of fighting, and this is the same Jury that was able to destroy an amusement park, which would therefore then calculate out to around 48 tons of TNT, which is a city block level feat. Caesar Zeppeli, meanwhile, in his fight with Wamu, was stated capable of nearly killing Cars. And Cars was the person that was able to completely slice and dice von Stroheim with his claw, and this is the same Stroheim that was built to deal with Santana. Santana, who's stated more powerful than any vampire seen in the series before. And this means that he's also more powerful than Dio, who is capable of surviving an explosion of a ship, which would therefore calculate out to around 60 tons of TNT, which is also city block level feat. So I'd have to give the attack potency point here to Caesar. He only just edges out Ken in that regard. Yeah, technically he isn't as strong as Cars, however, that being said, he's at least comparable to Joseph, who was capable of killing AC/DC and Santana at that time. So yeah, Caesar definitely has the edge here when it comes to power. In terms of speed, Ken alone in base is comparable to Jury, who's capable of kicking away a rocket, which is travelling at around 900 miles per hour, and of course he's much faster when he becomes Violent Ken. Caesar, meanwhile, is comparable to young Joseph, who is bare minimum comparable to his 70-year-old self, who is capable of interacting with and fighting the Silver Chariot. This is the same Silver Chariot that is able to intercept Hangman, moving at around 300 times the speed of light. So even if Ken, when he gets the Violent Amp on and becomes Violent Ken, even if he was a million times faster, Caesar would still have the speed advantage. So yeah, the speed point also goes to Caesar here. In terms of durability, Ken was of course capable of fighting Bison, and was capable of taking multiple hits from him. So he's very much comparable to his attack potency. However, it's also notable to put in that he's completely unaffected by lightning as well. Caesar, meanwhile, was capable of taking a Divine Sandstorm to the face from Wamu. Of course, Wamu, who's more powerful than Santana, who, as we already said, is more powerful than any vampire, who should at least scale to Dio in terms of his durability, since, you know, obviously Jonathan was capable of harming Dio, and Dio was capable of taking out Jonathan. It's important to note as well, though, there is an outlier for Dio that puts him at small city level, but considering it was mostly just a cinematic effect rather than an actual feat, and it's way higher than anything that's ever been seen before, I think it's quite obvious just to, you know, call it an outlier and just leave it at that. So yeah, in terms of durability, Caesar also has the edge here. As for abilities, weaponry technique, Ken Masters, when he gets the Violent Amp, is capable of teleporting, can sense where people are with chi. He's a master martial artist, as you would expect, and can manipulate chi. He also, as I said, has resistance to electricity and just, you know, lightning in general. He also has multiple different moves that he can perform. I'm going to throw them all up on screen right now so you can see just how versatile Ken is when it comes to fighting style. But yeah, he is pretty nuts. He can also manipulate fire, and he also can stun people if he hits them enough times in a certain way. He can also make his hits stronger and perform special moves, like the more times he fights. Caesar Zeppeli is a master of Hamon and a master martial artist too. He can create after images with his attacks, he can heal himself, has an extremely high pain tolerance, has vibration and energy manipulation, and can interact with non-physical things, such as when Joseph's Hamon was capable of affecting stands. He can walk on water, see mines, or rather like read mines, and also control them as well. However, of course, his most infamous technique is the ability to create bubbles and essentially use them as weapons, such as the bubble launcher, the bubble cutter, and essentially several other techniques that he has. He can use this to reflect Hammond off of each other, trap people in place, cut through things, just fire them at people as an attack, and also trap them in a place where, you know, obviously they can't move, and fire them off of Hammond still. If he's able to trap them in place with his bubble technique, then he also cuts off their oxygen supply as well, or at least to some degree. So in terms of his more versatile, I think it's clear that Ken is, considering how much he can do with his fighting style. Yeah, Caesar's also quite versatile, but comparing it to, Ken's array of fighting techniques, he can't really do much for that. In terms of who has the better abilities, I think it's quite obvious that Caesar does. However, Ken has quite a few really powerful things, such as being able to teleport, sense ki, and just in general, manipulate things like fire. So while Caesar has the abilities point, it's not by a large or landslide at all, and of course Ken has the versatility point. In terms of weaknesses, Ken is typically quite arrogant, or at least doesn't really think things through, and when he becomes violent Ken and becomes so bloodlusted, he can be enraged quite easily. Caesar can also be kind of arrogant, however not to the extent that Ken is. He also needs to have a steady breathing. He also needs to have steady breathing, or at least Hammond within him to then use Hammond. He can store up per se, like for example when Dyer was just ahead and he could still spit a Hammond if he was draw at someone, or when Jonathan was underwater. But it's not nearly as powerful as it would be if he's able to breathe properly. So in terms of who has the worst weakness, I'd probably have to say it's Caesar, because that whole thing, Ken can get angry, but he'll still have his powers. But if Caesar is affected by this weakness, he'll just become a regular person. So yeah, Caesar's definitely more vulnerable than Ken here. So for a conclusion, we've gathered from this that Caesar is more powerful, faster, more durable, and has the better abilities. Ken is, or Violent Ken is less vulnerable and is more versatile. So I think it's kind of clear who wins the fight. Caesar would absolutely demolish Violent Ken. Even if Ken was more powerful than Caesar, Caesar would more than likely just have Ken be lured into a trap, given how much faster he is. And, there are multiple ways that Caesar could win. He could trap Ken in one of his bubbles and knock him out unconscious. He could just vaporize him completely. He could cut him to pieces and eventually let him bleed out. He could just control his mind. Just throw him into the water, have him weighed down with Hammond, because he can walk on the water, it'd be fine. It's quite, it's quite a landslide as to who'd won. I wouldn't have expected it to be this much of a stomp, but the more you know, Ken or Caesar is just way more power, or way more faster. He's not necessarily got a massive power advantage, but it's definitely, still more powerful than Ken. So yeah, Caesar would beat Ken in a fight. If you enjoy this video, dislike and subscribe. I've also been asked a few times, what's the next versus video going to be? It's either going to be another, how strong is this verse video? Either that, or it's probably going to be another versus video, that being Mega Man X versus Android 17. So yeah, I will see you when that video comes out.